Let's go on the record. Now, today I'm going to sit down with Victoria Sinis. She is an Australian creator and a speaker who pulls back the curtain on the reality of OnlyFans and the wider sex industry. Here is something you've probably never heard. The average creator who is on OnlyFans, which by the way is one of the world's biggest platforms, they only earn about $150 to $180 per month, while the average subscriber, a married man with 89.5% of them being married. And get this, out of the millions of creators, only an estimated 300 globally are earning more than $1 million a year or more. There is 3.78 million women and 732,000 male creators on this platform. And in today's episode, we are going to be peeling back the curtain on this hidden economy, one that has flooded our inboxes and our social media feeds and even our culture.
What you do, it's really simple. You sit on TikTok and you sit on Instagram and you look for girls that fit a certain requirement. The girl who made the most money at the agency, we would lie and say that she was fresh 18. You're not sitting there writing in like an Instagram bio, come join OnlyFans and do porn and we'll take a cut. You're writing, do you want to maximize your earning potential? Do you want to live a luxurious lifestyle? Do you want to be a part of the elite? You're painting this picture. One of the main arguments I think that people kind of have for OnlyFans is it's their choice. It puts power back into the girl's hands. Let's shatter that illusion. People think that sometimes that it's like a hard manipulation. Do this, but it's not. It's soft manipulation. And that's so much more powerful. I call it false consent. It's manipulated consent. So you're posting 7 days a week. You cannot skip days. You're not allowed to skip days. You have to have the perfect lighting, the perfect this, show more skin. We're mass manipulating algorithms and telling these girls that they have very strict requirements of the things that they have to post in order to do well. What is the difference between if there was a bunch of grown women standing on a street corner going up to girls that looked young and trying to convince them to come do pornography? It's the exact same thing.
Very few people are talking about this, the reality of what is actually happening behind the screen. So I will introduce you to the one person who used to help build it, and then she walked away. Then we'll break down the business model, the psychology, and the impact. Not just the impact on creators, but also the impact on the subscribers and all of us. Because understanding this doesn't make you a critic, it makes you awake. Victoria, welcome to the show. I'm excited to sit down and talk with you and pull back the curtain on this. You're originally from my home country. You're from Australia, and you've been touring around the US speaking about this. So I would first love to know, what is OnlyFans?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. I think it's a fantastic question because not many people actually know exactly what OnlyFans is. So to be able to understand the magnitude of the problem, we have to understand the thing that we're actually talking about. So OnlyFans was a platform that was actually created back in about 2016.
Okay.
So from my understanding, the original context as to why OnlyFans was created was kind of like to decentralize mainstream social media.
Okay.
So where it was a way for small kind of niche creators to monetize their platforms. And so if you have a look at OnlyFans, just say the easiest way to explain it is if I loved to bake. And so what I could do is, instead of trying to build a platform on like Instagram or build it on Facebook at the time, which was kind of the two main platforms, so I could jump onto OnlyFans. And what I could do is all of my baking content, all my recipes, I can post it on OnlyFans and I can have it all behind a subscription wall and then behind locked content, which is called pay-per-view. And so the main allure though is that you could follow me on OnlyFans and message me directly, and you could be like, Vic, I just bought this recipe off you. I tried the muffins. I don't really know. They didn't work out well. Can you help me? And so we were able to have constant communication back and forth on OnlyFans about baking. And so if you actually think about the original context of it, it's a pretty smart idea. But what happened is in 2020 is OnlyFans blew up as this thing called a not safe for work platform. So what that means is a porn platform. And so now we see that OnlyFans is one of the biggest porn platforms that we have that exist in our culture. And it's the first time where we kind of ever see culturally as well, that not only do we have this massive mainstream platform that is influencing us, but it's also helped to influence culture in such a huge way that people now desire and idolize becoming sex workers and jumping onto OnlyFans. So it's turned into this huge phenomenon that is very far away from its original intent of just being able to decentralize kind of social media and help kind of small creators to monetize their platforms.
So you have a passion talking about this topic because of your experience in the industry. Now, when I say that you worked with a OnlyFans agency, is that right?
Yeah, so I actually helped to build one of the biggest OnlyFans agencies in Australia.
Wow. So, I mean, first, like, what is an OnlyFans agency and what does it do? And I mean, one of the biggest agencies, like you're implying that this is like something that there's a lot of this.
Yeah, so the driving factor behind why OnlyFans is so popular is agencies. And so we can kind of get into that as we go through the elements of what is an OnlyFans agency. And so I kind of like to break down what an agency is into 3 elements. So the whole intent of an OnlyFans agency, simply put, is to maximize profits on girls' accounts. And so if you kind of just put your business brains on for a second, OnlyFans doesn't have an internal way to promote people. Like on Instagram, you can kind of go on like the For You page, all these different ways. TikTok as well, it will self-promote. Well, on OnlyFans, you don't have that option. So that means you have to outsource the way that you're promoting to bring clients in or subscribers into the platform. So how do you do that? Social media, right? Now, if you think about this, imagine if you're a girl that's jumped onto OnlyFans and you have hundreds of thousands of followers and you're funneling all of those followers to OnlyFans. Well, we've already established that the main way that you communicate on OnlyFans is through instant messaging. So how can a girl sit there and facilitate conversations with thousands and thousands of people, pay-per-views, custom requests, building relationships to some capacity with thousands of people 24/7? She can't. So that's where agencies come in. So the first kind of element of an OnlyFans agency is account management. So what that means is their role is to pretend to be the girl on their behalf to make as much money as possible. And so we can kind of get into all the details about what that actually looks like, but just to give you like a high level overview of it, that means that you onboard a girl, you get her to do like a questionnaire that gets created into a brief. That brief is then given to these things called chatters. And chatters are people that you pay from third world countries that pretend to be the girls, and it's a commission role. Then from there, element number 2 is marketing. And so that was my role. My role was to build out the marketing division of this agency. So again, we're having to promote on other platforms to bring people in. So my role was to make girls go as viral as possible, as quickly as possible, doing very intentional, curated, hypersexualized content across all social media platforms to bring men into funneling systems to end them at OnlyFans. And then from there, element number 3 is recruitment. So again, it's a business. You want to bring people in. So that means you have to recruit. So what are you doing? You're scouring the internet, looking for girls that you can entice to be able to sign them to do porn, simply put. So that's kind of like a very basic rundown of what an agency is and kind of the framework of the one I worked for. And then to answer your second question, yes, like there is thousands and thousands and thousands of OnlyFans agencies that exist all across the world that are doing this, that are trying to recruit girls to do OnlyFans and then marketing girls' OnlyFans on social media.
That might be quite shocking to people watching this. Like this may be the first time of 1, hearing about OnlyFans, but 2, understanding that a large part of the pull towards it, which is the connection that they're having with these creators, isn't actually really that person. They're actually maybe speaking to someone in a totally different country who's maybe even not the same gender, right? It's actually mind-blowing.
Yeah, like not a lot of people understand that. So like the way that the chatters work is, it's probably some dude from the Philippines. That's where ours were from.
Yeah.
And again, their main role is a commission role. So we would train them in the girlfriend experience, and we would train them on how do you sit there. And again, if you think about this, you're not sexting someone 24/7.
Yeah.
You're building relationship. That's how you keep having clients come back. It's just a basic business model.
Yeah.
So again, we're kind of inundating globally people with the girlfriend experience to pull them into staying on a porn platform.
And it's interesting, like even beyond OnlyFans, like as a creator, I've been approached by there's different like platforms that are similar to OnlyFans that aren't as sexualized, right? You know, things like passes, and there's many of them, right? And same thing, I've been approached by agencies who, again, they'll use your voice, they'll use your tone to speak with people. And again, it generates massive amounts of money. I didn't do it, but I can see the allure in it because you're like, oh, it's not sexual. They're just like talking back and forth. But then I'm sure it's like amplified on OnlyFans. Okay, you've talked about an agency. So is this something that you guys approach the girls? Do they approach you? And what does the contract actually look like? Are they taking a big split? You're taking a big split? there are a bunch of different roles that you guys are contracted to. Like, what's their involvement in it? What does that kind of the day-to-day actually look like for you guys?
Yeah, so I guess to get into like the actual intricacies now of what everything looks like from a recruitment standpoint, what you do, it's really simple. You sit on TikTok and you sit on Instagram and you scour the internet and you look for girls that fit a certain requirement. And so at the time, the girl who made the most money at the agency, we would lie and say that she was fresh 18. And so then also at this time, the top 3 searched categories in mainstream pornography was teen, fresh teen, and barely legal.
Wow.
So what we realized is we correlated that the younger the girl looks, the more money she makes. And so what we would do is we would go onto TikTok and Instagram and look for the first thing is, are girls already posting provocative content? That's a really big one, because what that tells you is that either this girl perhaps already has an OnlyFans, or if she doesn't, she's more likely to be enticed to do something like OnlyFans. And then from there, we had a agency account. So again, people have to understand that you're not sitting there writing in like an Instagram bio, come join OnlyFans and do porn and we'll take a cut. You're writing, do you want to maximize your earning potential? Do you want to live a luxurious lifestyle? Do you want to be a part of the elite? Do you want to have this bougie, like fantastic, like cars, yachts, mansions, like all the things, right? So how do you show that to people? Well, we were legitimately doing that through the agency account. We were throwing parties, we were hiring out these mansions, having like these bougie dinners. We hired all of the different cars, like all the stuff you can think of, right? And so you would post all this content onto the agency profile. And so you're getting a message from this like marketing agency, and it has all these followers, and then you look through and it shows this amazing lifestyle.
Very aspirational.
And you're like, whoa, I want that. And so we'll write to you and be like, hey, we love your vibe. We think you're super cute. Have you ever considered OnlyFans? Or we would write, hey, we saw that you have an OnlyFans. You're crushing it. We think we could take you to the next level. Imagine all the extra money you could earn. Like, you're painting this picture. And then if you really wanted someone, the owners at the agency were actually girls that were in OnlyFans.
Okay.
And so they were some of the biggest creators that we had in Australia at the time. So if you really wanted a girl, you would actually get one of the agency owners to message the girls directly. So then imagine even more what's that doing if you have now not even an account messaging them, but someone directly messaging you being like, I see you.
Yeah.
I think you're amazing. You have potential. You're like, wow, blah, blah, blah messaged me. Like, maybe I really am special.
Wow. So, okay, let's say they get this message, they on board with you, and you send them, you said these detailed questionnaires. And then what happens next?
Yeah, so the questionnaire I think is really important as well, because just say you are on Instagram, you message a girl, you get her on a recruiting call, you sign her up to the agency, and then the first process is this questionnaire, which is as many details as possible that you can think of.
Yep.
So you're wanting to find out everything, right? Because you need to best represent the girl.
Yeah.
So this as well in this, and I think that this is really important, so I'm glad you brought it up, is one of the main arguments I think that people kind of have for OnlyFans is, well, it's their choice. It puts power back into the girl's hands. There's no manipulation, there's no coercion, and this is a pretty liberating thing. And a lot of girls even tell me, well, I feel like I have the power against men when I do this. But kind of like the language I really enjoy using is, let's shatter that illusion. So the first part of shattering this illusion about OnlyFans being empowering is the questionnaire. Because when you're answering all these like very specific and sometimes crude details about yourself.
What type of questions are they?
So anything from what's your favorite food, what's your favorite color, down to what's your bra size, what's your favorite sex position, how many partners have you had, things about your family, do you have children, what do you tell about them, like what are the favorite, like excuse the crudeness, but what toys do you use, what other type of pornographic content do you consume, what do you like? So that's when it goes everywhere, from like basic things all the way down into like very personal details about the women.
So now that I guess the chatters have these answers, now they're just going back and forth, and these people who are using the platform are now just paying per message. Is that right?
Kind of. So what it is you'll take that questionnaire and then you turn it into a brief. So then the chatters, when they log onto the back end, they'll see who they're scheduled to, and then they'll get that person's brief up, and then that's where it's got all the answers to all these questions. So that should hopefully give them enough fuel, I don't even know, like material to be able to talk to the subscribers. But then the whole point of what they do is per girl, they'll have like a commission that they have to hit for that day. So it's literally a sales job.
Yeah.
And so if they don't hit those targets, we're like, hey, what's up? What happened there? Why did you miss the mark here? And so, yeah, literally these subscribers, the men, think that they're talking to the girl, but it's some dude that's in the Philippines that's literally, again, trained to make as much money off you as possible.
So are the creators actually aware of the cut of like how much the agency is actually taking?
That one depends. So I've heard everything that you can imagine. At the specific agency I was at, there was like not a flat line, but you would negotiate with the girls, and within the contract, you would actually sign what the percentage was. But I've even had, now that I do this work, people come up to me and be like, hey, there's a girl that signed a contract at an agency. She's locked out of her account. She has no financial autonomy. And they want her to basically pay a lump sum of money to get back into her account.
Wow.
So you kind of just have a variance.
Are there instances where, because these agencies are making so much money, that they're then manipulating these creators into I mean, speaking things that maybe they wouldn't speak, or even doing things that they maybe don't want to do?
It's not necessarily a financial thing in the sense of well, how do I explain this? Actually, a better way to explain this is probably actually to talk about going back to the questionnaire, the levels, and then kind of how that escalates things.
Yeah.
So in the questionnaire, this is again where people think that sometimes, especially when it comes to like any type of sexual exploitation, that it's like a hard manipulation, right?
Yeah.
Do this, but it's not. It's soft manipulation. And that's so much more powerful. And so a really basic example of the difference is if I sat here and was like, Robbi, it's really bright in here, turn the lights off. Hard manipulation. Where soft would be, Robbi, don't you think it's just a little bit bright in here? And you'll go, oh, should I turn the lights off?
Yeah.
So it's, I call it like false consent. It's manipulated consent, right? And so that's really important for what you're talking about on this process of escalation that we see. So you see that girls, when they come into the ecosystem of agencies, are already indoctrinated into this soft manipulation just in the questionnaire. So the levels that we have is basically, what level of content are you comfortable doing? And so the first level was Instagram and bikini content. So this is just for extra context, the level, the content that you're doing on OnlyFans. So level 1 is bikini and lingerie. Level 2 is implied nudity. Level 3 is full nudity. Level 4 is everything, and sorry for the language, but everything but anal. And then level 5 is everything. And so what do you think that does psychologically to a girl when she's now come into this agency, these people see something in her, she's doing this questionnaire and she's so excited, and then she comes to the levels and she's like, oh, well, if I tick level 1, does that mean I have to get to level 5 to make more money? Does that mean this is the ladder in which I have to climb? And then behind the scenes, the culture of the workers is, if a girl was complaining about her, like the money she was making, you would check her questions and you'd be like, oh, what does she expect? She's only a level 1. She's only a level 2. Of course she's not going to make more money. And so that's where you'd be like, well, babe, have you ever considered like collaborating with this girl? Or maybe we should get you like a more specific niche. Or I really think that you should be like advertising on like different platforms where you can kind of like do a little bit more. And so then even with that, just to kind of even add more layers to it, as time went on, we realized that girls who do Instagram and bikini content don't make as much money, right? So I came up with the idea and was like, well, let's get rid of level 1. So then now you're indoctrinated into implied nudity. But you're like, wait a minute, you know, there's this stigma. I was just going to sell my feet on here, but you're telling me that now I have to have implied nudity as my baseline level of what I need to do on this platform. And so that's why it's not necessarily, again, to kind of answer the question, this hard manipulation by agencies, but it's this soft manipulation and this soft allure of, if you want more, well, here, and these are the ways that it's kind of peppered in as you come into this ecosystem.
The thing that really stood out to me is, 1, the soft manipulation, but 2, like the marketing in it. Like you just said, I came up with the idea to remove this level, which totally just shifts their mindset even as they're filling that out.
Well, that's just OnlyFans. So let me tell you about like the social, because the social media was my realm. So we haven't even touched on the magnitude of what happens digitally. And so that's why this conversation is so much bigger than girls just jumping on a porn platform. So if we now look at the marketing that happens on like TikTok, Instagram, Reddit, X, Snapchat, dating apps, it's insane.
It's come up on my For You page on TikTok a couple of times. Like one of the biggest creators in Australia is a OnlyFans star. And I see all the comments like, I want to be able to give my family this life. Like it's pretty, like the way that it's marketed is like, it almost markets itself like when you get to a certain degree, right?
Yeah, so it's like the girls become the recruiters in a sense. But where that comes from is, again, you're not selling, let's do porn, you're selling a lifestyle. And so I think I know who you're talking about, but I've had literally 15-year-old girls talk to me about that specific person and be like, well, I want to live the life she lives because she seems happy and she can travel. And I'm like, whoa, so you think that the only way you can be happy and travel is to do OnlyFans? And they're like, yeah. And it's because of the magnitude of what we're seeing on social media and how deeply it's influencing people, again, to idolize becoming a sex worker.
Yeah. Are there emotional or psychological strategies that are being used to influence these women, like on social, like when you're talking to them at the agency, like on platforms, like in content that they're creating, you're creating? Is that intentional?
Yeah, so when you come through the kind of like onboarding process, and this will make sense, and you come into the marketing realm, it is so intentional. My role was to get girls excited for their marketing requirements because, again, a lot of people think, to shatter the illusion, oh, I can just jump on, sell some feet pics, and I don't have to do a lot of work and I'm going to make a bunch of money, right? So if you think about this, how can you make on such a competitive platform people stand out? So our requirements were to get the girls to have a minimum of 3 to 5 TikTok accounts. And on each of those TikTok accounts, they had to be posting up to 5 unique videos per account.
Wow.
So
per day?
Per day. Wow. In that, we actually had an expert that we had hired who would study algorithms. And so every single day, that person was sending us very specific curated, like provocative content of trending skits, sounds, hashtags, captions, all the things you can think of, right? And so my job was to be like, okay, babe, like you're going to do we're going to crush it. So what we need you to do is you're going to get like 3 to 5, it's going to be so easy. And I actually started recently publishing this. I've shown people what we would send to the girls as the non-negotiables. And so you're posting 7 days a week. You cannot skip days. You're not allowed to skip days because if you do, you start back at square one. You have to have the perfect lighting, the perfect this, literally verbatim. It's like, show more skin. You need to make sure that you're showing this, because people sometimes like this, you don't want to alienate any of your audience. And like, that's just like some of them. There's about like 20 different things that we would have as these non-negotiables that girls had to do when it just comes to posting on social media. And that's just TikTok, right? And so again, we're mass manipulating algorithms and telling these girls that they have very strict requirements of the things that they have to post in order to do well. And so even just for people to understand, hopefully, like the magnitude of that, if one agency, we were one agency in Australia who was doing these like very specific marketing tactics. On a brand new, fresh TikTok account, we got one girl on one video in 7 days to 2.2 million views on this hyper-sexualized, very intentional content to be able to draw people in. So that's kind of, I guess, the way in which you would kind of manipulate and coerce girls, again, very softly, get them excited, but they're having to produce mass amounts of content that is very targeted and very provocative and put that out on the internet.
What's the feedback internally, like when they're kind of going through this process with you guys? You're pushing them to do this, to create this content so that it then pushes people to the OnlyFans to then speak with the chatters to create this revenue. So are they enjoying this? Is something that they push back? Is it different with every person? What is that like for the person walking through it?
Majority of girls had pushback and they're like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, well, you have to do it. Otherwise, how are you going to make money?
And they're in contracts.
Yeah, exactly. So if the girls as well didn't really like hit requirements, like financial requirements, we would say, well, if you don't do the social media requirements, you're not going to hit the financial requirements, so then you're going to be out of the agency.
So they almost feel to a degree stronger, I'm just saying. What are those contracts like? Can they get out of them easily? What if they want to get out of it? Can they just walk away? Can they get their page back? Like, what if they want to delete their page?
I think that The uniqueness of who I worked with at the agency is one of the owners was an ex-criminal defense lawyer. So that person, like, as I know this sounds really bizarre, but we were above board. So we weren't doing anything that we knew would get us in trouble because we had a lawyer working with us. So if girls wanted to get out of contract, or like, it was a much simpler process. There was some ethics and values there in quotation marks, but I firsthand know of a lot of agencies where it's not that simple, and it is really complicated and difficult to get out of the contracts.
So it's interesting, I guess, even myself, like when I consider OnlyFans, like I don't necessarily think of it as part of the sex industry. So I guess that's an interesting one. But are there links between, I guess, OnlyFans agencies and this type of work and traditional sex industry workers, and also trafficking? Like that's another huge one.